One night, the stars were there. Familiar constellations stitched across the dark like old scars. And the next, they were gone. Every catalogued sun, every confirmed habitable world, every colony, every city that had ever blinked in the void, erased. No signal, no drifting corpses or frozen ships. Just a hollow sky filled with dead rocks and silent moons. It was as if someone had carefully removed all the warm lights from the universe, leaving only the cold objects behind. The only survivors were the ones who had been in between. Freighters mid-jump. Survey crews drifting through empty orbits. People who had not been standing on anything that could be called a world. Civilization became a rumor told between failing hulls. Stations crammed together from old docking rings and cargo skeletons. Ships cannibalized until their interiors resembled boneyards. Children grew up in corridors that smelled like old coolant and rusted iron. They learned the names of stars that no longer existed the way ancient sailors once memorized drowned cities. Hope became a mechanical thing, a flickering antenna or a long-range scan. Maybe something was missed. Maybe one light remained. That hope found a moon. No one remembers who discovered it. Records from that era are corrupt, eaten by failing drives and the slow entropy of neglect. The moon had no official designation, just a rotating series of names spoken in different stations, none of them sticking. It orbited nothing. It drifted through the dark like a severed eye. At first glance it looked ordinary, gray and pitted. Then the probes found the ocean. It was blood, miles and miles of it, sealed beneath a translucent, fleshy crust that rippled slowly as if breathing. The color wasn't a clean red. It was layered, thick, and clotted with darker strands that moved like slow rivers beneath the surface. Scans revealed something deeper. Far below the ocean, beneath the pressure that would crush most metals into ribbons. Structures. Massive, winding anomalies buried in a trench that swallowed every signal sent into it. They twisted and looped like the roots of something ancient. No one understood them, but they were there. And if they were there, then maybe the thing that had taken the stars had missed this place. Or maybe this place had something to do with why the stars were gone at all. The stations argued for months. Supplies were low. People were beginning to ration air itself, sealing off entire wings and letting them rot in vacuum. Every year, more ships failed and were added to the drifting graveyards. That is when they built the submarine. It was assembled in Dock 9 of the last Meridian station, from mining hulls, pressure tanks, and a navigation pod that had once belonged to a medical shuttle. Its surface was a patchwork of weld seams and mismatched alloys. The interior was barely large enough for one person to sit upright. They welded the hatch shut. There was no other way to make it hold against the pressure. The pilot would not be able to open it once the descent began. He would go down and either return with the sub or never return at all. His name was Dr. Outrun, a xenobiologist who had once studied coral forests on a water world that no longer existed. He couldn't bring himself to say anything as the welders sealed him in. The sub sank through the blood like a stone. It was thicker than expected. The fluid pressed against the hull with a sluggish resistance, and the engines struggled to push forward. The viewports were useless. They had gone dark within seconds, coated by a film of clotting material. Inside the cramped cockpit, the only real window was the X-ray camera. The system was crude. He could fire a short-range scan that would produce a ghostly image of whatever lay ahead. But the processors were ancient, and the power cells couldn't sustain constant imaging. Each scan produced only 5 seconds of visibility. 5 seconds of sight, then darkness again. Vol activated the first scan. For 5 seconds, the screen showed a corridor of red fog and drifting particulate matter. Thick, fibrous strands floated past like veins that had come loose from some enormous heart. Then the screen went black. He waited for the charge cycle. The silence in the sub was absolute, except for the creaking of the hull and the slow, sticky drag of the ocean against the metal. Another scan. This time shapes appeared in the distance. Long ridges, curved and overlapping, like the bones of something buried beneath layers of tissue. They were enormous. He could not see where they began or ended. Black again. He descended deeper. The pressure alarms flickered, then stabilized. The weld seams groaned. Somewhere behind him, a pipe burst, and a thin spray of coolant misted the air. Another scan. The trench. It opened below him like a wound. The sides were not stone, but something soft and layered, like stacked membranes. Massive tubular structures twisted along the walls, some as wide as city blocks. They pulsed faintly, as if blood was being pumped through them. Vol swallowed. His throat tasted metallic. Organic, he whispered into the recorder. The screen went black again. He kept descending. The sub's exterior sensors began to fail one by one. Temperature readings spiked, then dropped. Magnetic interference crawled across the instrument panel like insects. His headset filled with faint noises, low, wet vibrations that almost sounded like distant breathing. Another scan. Something moved. It was only a shadow at first, sliding behind the tubular structures, too large to be debris, too smooth to be part of the environment. Vol leaned closer to the screen. Black. He triggered another scan as soon as the system recharged. This time, the image came into focus. A massive serpentine body curved through the trench, its flesh thick and layered, blending seamlessly into the organic structures around it. Where its skin touched the walls, the material seemed to fuse, as if the creature and the environment were the same thing. It appeared to be resting, or growing. Its torso bulged outward in uneven segments, vaguely humanoid in proportion, like a giant figure stretched into a long, coiling spine. Vein-like ridges ran along its length, connecting it to the surrounding tissue. The head drifted into view. Its mouth was a crooked gash packed tightly with rows of long, dense, spear-like teeth. They were arranged in overlapping layers, like shards of broken glass. Its eyes were small and fixed forward. It conveyed no emotion, no hunger, no rage, just stillness. The image lasted 5 seconds. Then it vanished into black. Vol's breath came in short bursts. His hands trembled on the controls. The sub lurched forward as he pushed the thrusters to full. He triggered the camera again. But the image didn't show the creature this time. It showed light. A blinding white brilliance filling the entire screen, like a wound in reality itself, radiating through the blood. For 5 seconds, the cockpit glowed with reflected brightness. Then the screen went dark. Vol froze. His breathing slowed. His eyes widened, pupils shrinking to pinpoints. The recorder captured the first whisper. He began chuckling softly, with only a hint of fear in his tone. They were taken in. He laughed. He reached behind him and began striking the inner hull with a wrench. At first it sounded like he was trying to fix something, but the blows grew more frantic, more violent. Metal rang through the tiny chamber. The voices started then. They weren't audible through the microphones, but the recorder caught his reactions, his head jerking and his eyes tracking things that weren't there. "Yes," he whispered. I see the shape now." He smashed the pressure valve. Coolant sprayed into the cabin. Frost formed on the instruments. "They're feeding it, all of them," he cried. The hull creaked. Warning alarms howled. He took the wrench and struck the main seam where the hull plates met. Once, twice, again and again. The metal began to deform. A thin line appeared along the seam, then widened as the pressure outside forced its way in. "I can hear them," he said, tears streaming down his face. "They're still alive down there. They're all still alive. They just don't remember being anything else." The seam burst. For a single fraction of a second, the cockpit filled with a rushing wall of dark red. The transmission ended there. No further scans were ever completed. No rescue mission was attempted. The lights never returned. And somewhere in the cold, empty cosmos, a nameless moon still floats, its ocean of blood quietly feeding something vast and patient beneath the surface.